Ever feel like you're drowning in a sea of apps and gadgets and notifications, but not necessarily like more advanced?
Right.
Today, we're diving into that very paradox
Yeah.
with this really fascinating guide, Zazoo,
Okay.
who suggests that true personal power isn't about like all the tech that we own, but more about how we harness our energy.
It's definitely a refreshing perspective.
Yeah.
We tend to equate all this technological advancement with personal progress, but Zazu kind of challenges that assumption head on.
Right. And before we go too far, let's introduce our listeners to Zazoo a little bit.
Okay.
Imagine a playful, wise energy, just like full of these like really cosmic insights.
Yeah.
That's Zazoo. Think less about like talking zebra and more about like universal truth.
Okay, I like it.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of those truths, and I love how you mentioned this earlier, is that technology doesn't inherently equal like advancement. It's a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. That's such a powerful point, and it actually reminds me of something you were talking about earlier about fire.
Exactly. Fire, I mean, it can cook our food or it can burn our houses down.
Right.
And technology is the same way. It's like, think about when we were kids, we probably thought we were so much more advanced than like someone living a few hundred years ago just because we knew how to use like a lighter.
Oh, totally. I remember thinking lighters were like the peak of human achievement.
Right. But it always goes back to that thing with Zazoo. It's not the tool. It's the awareness and the intention behind how we use it. So yeah, technology can connect us and educate us and entertain us, but it can also distract us and divide us and even disconnect us from ourselves and the world around us.
It's like just because you have the latest iPhone, it doesn't make you like more evolved, right?
Exactly.
It's how we engage with that technology, and I think more importantly, how we engage with ourselves that really matters.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And this is where, exploring that idea of simpler times can be kind of illuminating. You know what I mean? Because in the past, people just had fewer distractions, so it kind of forced them to be more present in their everyday lives.
Well, yeah, because when you're so focused on like survival, right?
Yep.
Like gathering your food and building your shelter, I mean, you are inherently more present.
Exactly. And that presence, as Zazoo points out, can be like a pathway to this deeper self-connection. There's a really powerful quote from the message where Zazoo says, chopping wood and carrying water has nothing to do with your state of being and with your depth within yourself.
So it's not about like trading in our laptops for axes and hatchets,
Right.
but more about understanding the mindset, right?
Yeah.
That simpler living sort of cultivated, that focus and presence can lead to a deeper connection with ourselves.
Exactly. It's like it's recognizing that, constantly bombarding ourselves with information and all this stimulation can actually hinder our personal growth.
Right.
It's like trying to have a meaningful conversation in a really crowded, noisy room.
Right.
It's tough to even like hear yourself think, let alone like connect with the person you're talking to.
Right.
On a deeper level.
Yeah, no, totally. And speaking of noise and distraction, this feels like a good time to bring in Zazoo's ice cream analogy.
Oh, yeah.
Which I have to admit, like, really blew my mind.
Yeah, it's definitely a memorable one.
Yeah.
So picture this. You're standing in front of like 31 flavors of ice cream.
Yeah.
The possibilities seem endless, right?
Right.
But instead of being excited, you just feel kind of like overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Paralyzed by like all the choices.
Oh, I've totally been there.
Right.
Like, you want to try all of them,
right.
but you know you can't.
Right.
And then you just end up second guessing yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
No matter what you choose.
Exactly. And that's kind of like what Zazoo is suggesting is the paradox of desire in an unlimited universe. Right?
Okay.
So our higher selves have access to infinite potential.
Right.
But we're limited by our human capacity to actually experience it all at once.
Right.
So we get stuck in this loop of wanting more, even when we're surrounded by like this abundance.
It's so true. And it's like that desire for all 31 flavors
Yes.
can actually lead to us feeling trapped and limited.
Yes.
Which, if I'm following you correctly,
Yeah.
brings us to this idea of self-imposed limitations.
Yes.
Like, we create the rules that confine us.
Precisely. We build our own metaphorical matchboxes.
Right.
And then we wonder why we feel stuck.
Right. Yeah.
We tell ourselves we're not good enough or smart enough or worthy enough to like achieve our dreams. Or we get so caught up in the how that we never actually start pursuing the what that we actually desire.
It's so easy to fall into those traps, though, right?
I, you
To
know,
get caught up in like those limiting beliefs about ourselves and our abilities. So
right.
how do we break free? How do we escape those self-imposed matchboxes
Right.
and step into our power? So how do we break free? How do we escape those self-imposed matchboxes and step into our power?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And Zazoo actually offers a surprisingly simple answer.
Okay.
By shifting our focus.
Okay.
Instead of dwelling on all those
Yeah.
those perceived limitations,
Right.
we need to focus on what we want to embody.
So going back to the ice cream, it's like it's about finding that unique flavor for ourselves.
Yeah.
The essence of who we truly are and what we want to kind of put out into the world.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that, we're not defined by our limitations,
Right.
but by our potential, and
Yep.
and that potential is limitless.
Right, just like that universe that Zazoo was describing.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so empowering. But how do we actually do that? How do we shift from limitation to embodiment? How do we train ourselves, so to speak, to step into that power?
Well, Zazoo gives this really fascinating example about a dog trainer
Okay.
who commands energy to achieve a desired outcome.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so instead of like focusing on the dog's limitations or bad habits, the trainer focuses on an energy and behavior that they want to cultivate, and the dog responds accordingly.
So it's about shifting that energy that
Yes.
we're bringing to ourselves and our goals. Like instead of getting like, bogged down by self-doubt or
Yeah.
fear, we can choose to focus on confidence and determination
Yes,
and belief in our own abilities.
exactly. It's like choosing to focus on like the deliciousness of the ice cream
Right.
rather than feeling overwhelmed by the number of flavor.
Right. Yeah.
It's about, getting in the driver's seat of your own life.
Yeah.
And choosing the thoughts and the beliefs and the actions that really align with who you truly want to be.
It's so true. And you know what? This is really resonating with me because it really feels like we're being invited to step into like a new age of personal power where technology can become this tool, like you were saying, for amplifying our intentions.
Yes.
Rather than dictating our reality.
Exactly.
I love that. And in this new age, like you, the listener, you get to decide what truly matters.
That's right.
It's your time to choose your flavor.
Yes.
To cultivate that energy that you want to embody.
Yes.
And step into your full potential.
Exactly.
That's incredible. That's amazing.
It's powerful stuff.
It is powerful stuff. And, before we go, I want to leave our listeners with one final Zazoo nugget to ponder.
Okay.
Zazoo suggests that even though our desires may seem like vast and limitless,
Right.
they're actually limited,
All right.
rooted in your essential species.
Okay.
So this is a big one. What does that say about free will? Does choosing our flavor truly mean we're exercising free will?
Right.
Or are we bound by like the very nature of our being?
That is an excellent question, and one that I would really encourage everyone listening to just kind of sit with.
Yeah.
As you go about your day, just consider what are the flavors that you're choosing?
Right.
And what do those choices say about the essence of who you are?
Love that. Until next time, keep diving deep
Yeah.
and keep playing by your own rules.